Hey guys, happy Monday. Yes, I have today off. Hallelujah. But I made it through the whole wedding weekend and I survived it. My voice is a little hoarse. I think that happens when you're like talking loudly or you might be screaming over top of loud music. It was a beautiful, beautiful wedding yesterday. The whole weekend was fantastic. I had such a good time. I am just so blessed and feel very thankful that I was able to be a part of my friend's special day. And everything went off really well. There were no major problems. There's always like these little hiccups. Something somebody forgot, something like that. And my friend forgot her contacts, so we had to make like an emergency run to get the contacts before the ceremony began. So it all worked out though. And they're married and it was a great celebration afterwards yesterday, or last night I should say. And now I'm home recovering. And then I'll have to go to work tomorrow, of course. But I wanted to come on and, well, one, I wanted to spend some time in my nursery. You guys haven't seen Addison, really. So I wanted to do a changing video for Addison. And I also wanted to do the tag that this little piggy 41 started. And it's like a 3-question tag, 3-part tag that I will be happy to answer. I thought it would be fun. I always love to participate in tag videos. I think it's always really interesting to get other people's opinions and thoughts and ideas on things because we all think so differently. But it also helps kind of put into perspective, or it might give us ways or ideas for ourselves to incorporate into enjoying our reborn hobby. So, okay, so I will do the tag while I'm dressing Addison. I'll try to do the two things at once, which I also I also have a hard time, you know, concentrating on multiple things while I'm physically doing something. But the gist of the tag really is, I think the core of the tag of what it is about is like bonding process with a new baby or an existing baby. And the first part of her question, her tag, is what do you do to help with the bonding process with a new baby? And I have just recently been through a slightly difficult bonding process with Jack. So this is part of the reason why I wanted to participate, because I just went through it and I was able to bond with him, but it took some time. So I just kind of wanted to, you know, join in, share my thoughts on it, because I do sometimes have a hard time bonding with new babies. They don't always mesh well, or the sizes are wrong, or not wrong, I don't want to say wrong. The size is different than I'm used to, or the style of the painting is different than I'm used to. You know, there's a lot of different things that go into what we bond with. And the bottom line is it exactly what we expected it to be when we bought it? That's kind of the bigger one, I think, for me, because sometimes I buy dolls that don't end up looking anything like I thought they were going to look like in person. And then I have to decide whether or not I adjust to it, or whether or not it's going to be something I'm going to not keep and sell on. And that's happened a couple times, probably more than a couple times. And I'm gonna put this little onesie, it's a jackety onesie, and this little, it's like babadoo, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this little romper, and then her little moccasins. So that's what Miss Addison is going to wear today, because it is really lovely outside. The weather is really nice and warm. So it's not hot. Well, it might be hot by this afternoon, but right now it's you know, probably 70-ish. But anyways, so what do I do to help with the bonding process? Well, the first big thing for me is finding the right name. It doesn't seem like it would be a big deal, but for me, the name is kind of a huge deal. It's part of how I connect with the doll. And, you know, it's strange that we say that because we know they're just dolls. We're fully aware that they're just a doll. And people that are, you know, would stumble upon this channel, because I've had it happen, and they're like, bonding with a doll. It's very odd. But it is generally what we do. We either bond with a doll and keep them, or we don't bond with the doll and the dolls don't stay. So for me, I have to love the name. The name helps with that process for me because it adds personality to the face, to the baby, all of that. And to me, that's a big part of enjoying these dolls, is that they each have their own little personalities. And the name is all big part of that for me. So a lot of times I don't generally try to name the doll before the doll comes home, because I have tried that in the past. And for me, I have to see the doll in person, because even though you can get great pictures of the doll and you think you're going to know what the doll looks like, 9 times out of 10 the doll is going to look slightly different in person than in pictures. You know, so for me, I wait till the doll arrives, and sometimes the name does not come to me right away. And I think that does hinder the bonding process for me. If I don't have a name for the baby, it's like just, you know, newborn baby or whatever, you know, it's hard for me to really get into, you know, wanting to do more with the baby. So once I find the name, you know, that's a big part of my process. And then also, for me, finding the right clothes that fit the doll is essential. Now, if the body's not right on a doll, it'll completely wreck the bond. If it's a funky body and it doesn't fit the doll and it doesn't seem right to me, I have to change it, or else I won't keep the doll, period. If it's not stuffed right, it has to be corrected, because it's all how we like our dolls to be. Like with this baby, she is nice and loose and wiggly, and overstuffed bodies drive me absolutely bonkers when they're stiff and they don't curl up and they aren't pliable. That's a huge thing for me. It's also why I like silicone so much, because they're so movable. But so yeah. Finding the clothes that fit. So if you don't have clothes that fit the doll, like you have different size dolls, I know that that's the problem that this little piggy 41 was having, was that she's so used to having smaller babies, so she didn't even have any clothes to fit the new baby. So it's really hard to kind of get into the groove and enjoy the doll if you don't have clothes that you feel excited or think look cute and just look adorable on the baby. So that's a big thing for me. So getting clothes if you don't have any, or getting new clothes that fit the baby better, is also essential for me. I think with Jack, that was a big issue, because I didn't have like anything. He's like the first boy I've had in my nursery for a long time. And when I sell on like the baby boys that I've had in my nursery, I actually would give away the clothes that went with them. I didn't hold on to them. I only had like a couple things that I just thought were cute that I held on to in general, that I've had for like a long time. So yeah, for me, I had to get him some clothes, and the more clothes I'm getting him, the more bonded I become to him, because he's got his own little personality, he's got his own little wardrobe started, and that is a must for me. For me to feel like he's mine and that he's part of my nursery. It's just part of how I bond with my babies, I suppose. So those are like the big things. That's pretty much like the big things. Other than that, if you don't like the doll and the doll just isn't for you, then I'm not ever going to bond with the doll. There's just sometimes that there's nothing wrong with the doll, and there's nothing the artist did, but something about the doll just didn't set right with me. You know, it just wasn't for me, or the size was wrong, or gosh, there's so many things. She looks funny at this angle. I'm trying to get her to like look at the camera. But the angle the camera's picking up makes her look blotchy, and she's really not blotchy. It's funny. Here, you turn your head even more, so maybe they can see her face. Say hello. Hello to all your aunties. I love her face. Her face is like the sweetest little face, and the way her eyes are set are just the cutest. And I apologize for my dogs barking in the background. They're seeing like squirrels, or oh, Lord only knows. They're like total critter hunting out. We have like big picture windows in our living room, and that's what they're having a conniption over, clearly. So yeah, so sometimes it's just, you're never going to bond with a doll, and that's just, it is what it is. But a lot of times, most of the time for me, it's usually just a matter of changing their clothes. Like the first thing I do when I get a new doll is I change the outfit and put one of my outfits on. Even though some might come with beautiful outfits, it's just, I gotta have my own. It's just how I am. So second part of the tag was, what do you do to keep the bond with your current reborns when you do get a new reborn? So for me, this one's not really all that hard, because a lot of times for me, I've had to sell dolls in which to bring a new one home. That's kind of my rule of thumb. And it's not always a financial thing for me, but it's generally also how I keep my collection at a minimum, and so it doesn't become unruly and I end up with like too many dolls. Like I get overwhelmed when there's too many dolls. Right now I have 3, not including my Amy Webb. And that is like my maximum that I can deal with having without feeling like, I don't feel overwhelmed right now. I feel like I have a nice blend in my collection, because I have 2 open-eyed and 1 sleeper. 2 of them which are silicone, and 1 reborn, which this is, you know, my one and only reborn right now. And that's a perfect number for me. I seem to feel really confident that I have enough time to spend with them. I'll not feel like I have too much money tied up in them, and that's a big one for me too. But yeah, right now this seems to be an easy thing for me, because I don't, you know, I guess we throw silicones and other mediums into the whole reborn name, I think, when we're talking about this sorts of thing. But 3 is fine for me, so I don't have a problem like losing a bond. I think what helps keep the bond is just continuously interacting with all of your dolls. For me, I have to interact with all of them at one point in time or another, else I'll get bored, and it's just like I just don't connect with them anymore. And sometimes that just happens anyways, because you see new faces out there and you just crave a new face, I think. So for me, it's more like just continuously spending more time with them. And the third part of the tag was, what do you do when you lose your bond? Do you immediately try to sell? Yes, that's exactly what I do. For me, if I've lost the bond with a baby, and, you know, changing them doesn't help, and spending time with them doesn't help, then I know it's time for them to move on to another mommy. So generally speaking, once I know for sure that the baby is just, you know, I don't feel it for the baby anymore, that's when I decide it's time to move on. So I will find them a new mommy. I do it pretty quickly. So I don't generally hold on to them, because to me it's like money sitting there. So why would I hold on to them any longer? Because I can, you know, find another baby that I do connect with. And that's an easy process for me. You know, once it's time, it's time. Because you guys have seen like quite the revolving door of babies through here. So, and I've missed some that I've parted with. You know, this one is an example, is that I've actually missed having her, so I brought her back into the nursery because I just had a really special bond with her, and I wasn't sure. I think it was financially why I sold her, because I was trying to gather money to get an expensive silicone at the time. I think that's why I sold her in the first place. But I brought her back because I missed her, and I'm so glad that I have her back in my nursery, because she's absolutely adorable. I just love this face. So that, I mean, sometimes we make those quick decisions and then we regret them. So luckily I was able to bring her back. That's also generally not the case. But yeah, I sell them and move on. Generally, sometimes in a too quick of a manner, and then I regret it. But I try to make good choices so that I'm not parting with one and regretting it. But you just never know. I mean, you feel what you feel at the time when you make the decision. But, you know, I'm usually about onward and upward. So if I make a decision to not have a baby in my nursery anymore, I usually stick with it. I'm trying to like angle her down so you guys can see her really well. There she is. She's so darn cute. I just love her. But yeah, there she is, Miss Addison. She's all changed and ready to go for the day. Like I said, it's warming up. I think it's going to be probably low 80s today by the end of, you know, like by late afternoon, I think. And I'm thinking I might try to take a walk and take the new baby for a walk. I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, those are my answers to my tag, to the tag questions. So if you're interested in participating, please feel free to do so. But if you want to see the original start of the tag, that's this little piggy 41's channel. I really enjoy watching her videos. She always has really good topics she talks about, and cute dolls, of course. So, and congratulations on your new baby. She is absolutely adorable. There's something about